Welcome back. As we heard a little bit earlier, Scotland's players will now take a knee when they face England at Wembley Stadium behind me next week. Charles Patterson is with the squad at their training base in Middlesbrough.
Well, Scotland's players have been taking a stance against racism since March, following the incident that month involving the Rangers player Glenn Kamara and the Czech player Ondrej Kudela. That was incredibly high profile at the time. Celtic and Rangers players then took a stance rather than taking a knee against racism, and the Scotland players followed that, in part because many players involved felt that the gesture of taking a knee had been diluted due to continuing abuse suffered by players. Yesterday, the Scotland squad announced that they would continue to stand rather than taking the knee against racism, but in light of some reaction from certain quarters in the last 24 hours, there was a group meeting here this morning involving the squad and Scotland head coach Steve Clarke, and they have now decided to stand in solidarity by taking the knee with the England players at Wembley on Friday. They will, however, stand against racism at Hampden Park on Monday against the Czech Republic and the following week against Croatia. Steve Clarke has said in a statement today he was aware that some individuals and groups had sought to politicise or misrepresent the Scotland national team's position taking a stand against racism. And in light of those divisive and inaccurate comments being perpetuated by individuals and groups whose views we denounce in the strongest terms, we have reflected as a group and we have agreed we will show solidarity with our counterparts in England. We will continue to take a stand together as one for the matches at Hampden Park, but for the match at Wembley, we will stand against racism and kneel against ignorance in solidarity with England's players. Andy Robertson, the squad captain, backing that up. We expect Steve Clarke to address this on Sunday ahead of Monday's game against the Czech Republic.
Charles, thanks very much indeed. Brian Swanson, our chief reporter, has joined me here at our Wembley studio. Brian, good afternoon to you. I know you've been speaking the last hour or so with the FA's chief executive, Mark Bullingham. How pleased will the FA be now that we have this visibly clear and united message when the two sides meet here next week?
Well, Jules, the Football Association's position on this has always been very clear. It is down to each player to do what they feel is appropriate in terms of that show of solidarity, in terms of that anti-discrimination message. Clearly, they will have been aware of how the Scotland players are responding, and they will have been mindful towards that before the two teams meet here at Wembley a week tonight. The news of Scotland's stance emerged a short time just as I was about to speak to the chief executive of the Football Association, and he expressed his pleasure that the two sides are going to be doing the same thing.
We've been speaking with the Scots throughout. We have a very good working relationship with them, and we've always said that everything is a player's decision, and I'm delighted their players are working with our players as well to make that decision. From our point of view, it's never been a political gesture. It's an act of equality, it's an act of anti-discrimination, and I'm sure their players have always been supportive of that. They've just chosen to demonstrate it in different ways. If they decide to take the knee as well, that'd be brilliant.
And of course, Brian, there's plenty of focus on the potential reactions from the fans, from the stands when the players take a knee. What are the FA doing to try and help to get the fans on board and to support the players in that act?
Well, the Football Association, Jules, have been very strong in their condemnation of any supporter who feels the need to boo their own players before the start of any game. They are mindful that it could well continue to happen, and what they have done is they have produced a video. They say it's a video that in part is going to explain the rationale and explain exactly why the players take a knee, that they are not condoning any political movement whatsoever. That's something they've been very, very clear on. Gareth Southgate, the players and the Football Association want to really deliver that message to supporters. They are still in talks, the FA, with UEFA over whether or not that video can be shown in the big screens, because remember, this is a UEFA competition, so the FA have to hand everything over to them. But they will be showing that video on social media in the first instance. They want that to be an education piece for the small number of fans who do feel the need to boo the taking of a knee, and they hope that that will then go some way to try to minimise any potential of that booing taking place here in the three group games.
We want to galvanise the whole country behind the team. But at the same time, we feel we do need to explain to them why we're taking the knee. So it's a video that does both of those things. We think it will get everyone excited about a home Euros and also get people to understand the context of why the players feel it's important to show their support for an anti-discrimination act.